Imagine being told at just 13 years old that your career is already over, that Hollywood had used you up, chewed you through, and had no more room for you. Most people would believe it. Most people would walk away. But she didn't. And what happened next changed everything.
Drew Barrymore didn't just grow up in Hollywood. She was born into it, literally. The granddaughter of legendary actor John Barrymore, she came from one of America's most iconic acting dynasties. At just 6 years old, she landed her first commercial. By 7, she was already being noticed. And then came 1982 and a little movie called E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Overnight, this little girl with big eyes and a bigger smile became America's sweetheart. Every parent loved her. Every child wanted to be her best friend. She was pure. She was magical. She was box office gold. But behind that smile, the real story was just beginning. Fame is a strange thing when you're a child. It feels like sunlight, warm, golden, everywhere. But nobody warns you about the burn. By the time Drew was 9, she was attending Hollywood parties that no child should ever see. By 10, she was drinking. By 12, she had been introduced to marijuana. And by 13, she had already checked into rehab. Let that sink in. 13 years old in rehab. The same magazines that had put her face on their covers now ran headlines mocking her. The same studios that had made millions off her smile now stopped returning calls. Roles dried up. The phone went quiet. She wrote a book at age 14, not to celebrate her life, but to make sense of the wreckage of it. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get darker, at 15, she attempted to take her own life. Hollywood had written its verdict. Drew Barrymore was a cautionary tale, a child star tragedy, a story that was already over. They were wrong. Here's what Hollywood never tells you about rock bottom. It has a floor, and once you hit it, the only direction left is up. Drew Barrymore made a choice. Not a dramatic movie moment choice, but a quiet, daily grinding choice to get clean, to rebuild, to stop letting the world define her story. She moved away from the circles that had consumed her. She found therapy, she found discipline, and she found something even more powerful. She found herself. At 17, she emancipated herself from her parents and began rebuilding on her own terms. She took small roles that Hollywood insiders laughed at. She knocked on doors that were shut in her face. She heard no more times than most of us ever will. But she kept going, not because the path was clear, but because she had decided she was worth fighting for. And then came 1992, a film called Poison Ivy. Suddenly, Hollywood was paying attention again, but this time on her terms. The comeback had quietly begun. What happened next is one of the greatest second-act stories in Hollywood history. 1995, Batman Forever. She was back on the big screen, this time as a serious actress commanding real respect. 1996, Scream, a genre-defining horror film, and she was the opening scene everybody talked about. And then, 1998, The Wedding Singer, alongside Adam Sandler. Audiences fell in love with her all over again, but this time they loved the real her, the funny, warm, resilient woman who had survived everything Hollywood had thrown at her. Never Been Kissed, Charlie's Angels, 50 First Dates, one hit after another. But she didn't stop there, because Drew Barrymore had learned something most people never do, that depending on a system that failed you once will fail you again. So she built her own. She founded Flower Films, her own production company, and started producing her own movies. She took control of her own narrative, and in doing so, she became one of the most powerful women in Hollywood, not as someone's discovery, but as her own creation. The girl they wrote off had written her own ending.
Now here's why I'm telling you this story today. Because somewhere, right now, there is someone watching this who has been told their chance is past. Someone who has been written off by a boss, by a partner, by a system, maybe even by themselves. Drew Barrymore's story isn't really about Hollywood. It's about what happens when a person refuses to accept someone else's timeline for their life. She didn't wait for permission. She didn't wait for an apology from the industry that abandoned her. She didn't wait until the odds looked better. She started from where she was, with what she had, and she built something that no one could take away, because she was the one who built it. The most dangerous thing in the world isn't failure. It's believing that failure is final. It never is. Your comeback is not on Hollywood's schedule. It's not on your family's timeline. It is not on the world's approval. Your comeback is on yours.
Drew Barrymore went from rehab at 13 to building a media empire that includes a daytime talk show, a wildly successful beauty line, and a production company that has generated hundreds of millions of dollars. Not bad for someone Hollywood said was finished. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of your own fight, I want you to do one thing right now. Share this video with one person who needs to hear it today, because you never know whose turning point moment this could be. And if you want more stories like this, real stories, untold stories of people who refuse to quit, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, because next week we're telling a story that is even more unbelievable than this one. Stay in your fight. Your comeback is coming.